we start way at the beginning, Shaun. So we're going to get through your whole resume. But the first question that I always like to ask is, when did you first know you were a filmmaker?
I first knew I was a filmmaker when I made my first project.
When was that? How old were you?
30.
Oh, okay. You were a late bloomer.
I was super late. I was super late. It had to be 2015 or 2014. So I was in this program. So I used to be a novel writer first.
Oh, I see. So wait, let me just re-ask the question. So before you were a filmmaker, you were a writer,
Mhm.
right? And so when did you first start writing?
When I first started writing, I was going to say probably 10.
Wow.
Um, and it was funny because I knew at 10 I wanted to write. I knew it, right? But
Wow. How did you know that? How did you know such a thing at 10 years old?
this is all I wanted to do.
Wow.
In trouble, I did it too much. I would do it when I got in trouble. Like part of my punishment when I was a kid was I had to stay in my room. All I could do was read or write.
Right.
People would think that I was always in trouble because I was always in my room reading and writing. Sometimes my mother's ex-husband used to get upset that I was in the room reading and writing. But it was all I wanted to do. All I wanted to do. All I wanted to do was tell stories. All I wanted to do was tell stories. So that was at 10. R.O. Stein had this adult book series, not the Goosebumps, that was more for teenagers, but he had one for older people. It's called The Burning, the Betrayal, and the Secret. So this trilogy. And
Oh,
that's what I want to write. Probably not like that, but it was like the way I was captivated by that trilogy, right? It was like, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to write. I wanted to hold people's attention like that.
right. And was that trilogy fiction?
I
Because
believe it. I
it
believe it was.
sounds really intense.
It,
Burning, was it burning, betrayal, and
the
what
Secret. I
what
think the first book was the burn was the I don't know what order they went in
the
now, but it was the burning, the betrayal, and the secret. It was a trilogy about this family that like spun over like 200 years.
uh-huh.
It was, like so cool. It was funny because I was talking about it yesterday to my daughter, and I was like, I need to find that and buy those so I can read those again.
Yeah.
As a right.
Right. Wow. Just the titles of like, and I was looking for something to watch on the other day and I was just kind of like exhausted. And I've decided these days what I like to go for is historic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and usually if it's historic, they're killing each other. So that's kind of, that's cool. And because if it's romance stuff, no, I'm not watching that.
So
But
I like to watch the foods that made America. I
the
like that
fools that made America.
foods FOOD
Foods,
foods.
foods. Oh, that's interesting. What's that about?
It's just about like different brands that
Ah,
like the story of like Kellogg and Post,
right,
or
right.
story of Nabisco and whatever. Like the History Channel does a really good docu series on this, and it's like not even that like the Titans that made America about
Aha,
Rockefeller and
right.
Carnegie like that. I love historic stuff too.
Yeah. So you were definitely a writer at a young age, and
Yeah.
then you moved into and novel writing. I mean, that's what you said you wanted to do when you were that age. You started writing novels, right?
Yes, I was 23 when I wrote my first novel.
Wow. And
Mhm.
and and how many did you write before you were 30?
I I only wrote three. I,
You only wrote three? Only? What are you talking about?
I wrote three in a 3 year span. And the third one I never released because I kept seeing the visuals of it in my head, and I said it was so difficult to finish. And I said, okay, the universe must be telling me to write film, and I was like, well, I don't know how to write films. So like I powered through the third book, and I didn't even put it out just so I could make the transition into films. I always like to what I start. But yeah, so in that 3 years,
You knew, but so really how it came to you was just that you started seeing it in your mind
yes,
and you knew that meant it was a film.
yes,
Mm,
and it was so difficult to finish that I kept watching it in my head, right? Like
right.
literally watching it as I'm typing, I'm watching and I'm watching this thing play out, and it took a while for me to figure out what was going on. And I was like,
Uh-huh. Wow, that's so interesting. I've never heard anyone say that before, that they had that experience. So, once you realized it was a film, how did you get into the film thing? Was that the first short that you made, or how did you go to film school, or what did you decide to do now that you had this, I hate to say crazy, but
yeah. So I had made the decision to move. Right. So I was living in Philadelphia at the time, and I called my friend and said, "Hey, yes, I got this, this download from the universe. I'm going to write film." I said, "I'm about to move to LA," and he was like, "Move to LA?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he says, you don't jump off from playing playground basketball to the NBA. He says that LA's the NBA. He says you haven't done anything, and he was right. Like I had it right. So I moved to Atlanta and just immersed myself in the film community here. I didn't go to film school, but I took class courses. So I went to
Yes.
Clark Atlanta University, and I took filmmaking 1 and 2, and documentary filmmaking 1 and 2, and then also took a screenwriting class.
That really, now that I've seen your work, that really makes sense that you took both writing and documentary.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's going to keep coming up as we talk, but I'm surprised how many filmmakers are both, fiction and documentary.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that for me as a consumer, my favorite thing is always somewhere very close to the line. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably historic, it's probably based on reality, it's probably, yeah, probably involves a lot of killing. And 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 if I'm watching a documentary or the fiction, it's like just a satisfying kind of,
Mm-hmm.
so that's my sweet spot in that, like true uh true crime. I like true crime or true historic, or things like that, but that really is close to documentary, right?
It is same.
And so when you made your first film, what did you make for your very first film?
I gotta talk about my first one. Jeez Louise. So my first project has never seen the light of day because it wasn't ready, right? It was so many
Right.
mistakes, and you're only as good as the last thing you put out, and I knew that in the beginning. But it was a comedy series called Doctor Knockboots.
Dr. Knockboots.
Yeah. So the rapper Nas has this song called Doctor Knockboots, and it's about a hood like a street doctor,
Uh-huh.
right?
Oh, uh-huh.
That just focuses on like urban city hood problems. And I was like, well, what if I did that and he was like a sex therapist? I took that character from Nas, paired him with the character from House, and I created Dr. Knockboots.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
About a therapist who found it was a marriage counselor who found his wife cheating, and he spirals out, and then through becoming this asshole and becoming blunt, he becomes like Atlanta's top sex therapist, right? So I went to some people that said that it was too risky to do and no one wanted me to do it, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself. So I took some money and I went on Craigslist and I hired actors. It'll be shot in my house with a single camera, no lights, no audio. I had no idea what I'm doing. I cut it up on iMovie, and I'm not an editor. And I look at it and I was like, this is shit.
And today, Shaun, if you were talking to a young filmmaker and
Uh,
they told you they were going to make a series,
uh,
first project, what would you tell them?
you're out of your mind. Out
Thank you.
of your mind.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you say they're out of their mind?
because there's so many things. First of all, making a feature film is difficult, right?
Exactly.
So many moving parts, right? But in a series, it's that times 12.
That's
If I'm doing an hour series, right, and which is crazy, right? If I'm doing an hour
crazy.
series,
Crazy. Yep.
do 3 episodes, that's 2 feature films if you break it
Yep.
down.
That's right.
It's so many moving parts that go into a series.
And the money that you have
But
to spend. It,
I
and
yeah.
then my final question about this fabulous experience that you had, because obviously you learned a lot, but is were you able to get distribution and make any money on it?
Oh, that one knows I never put it out.
Oh, because you never put that one out. That's right. That's right. That's right.
I didn't start making money until I did my fourth project, the one that I actually did bring to the public.
Uh-huh. So you stuck with making shorts for a while, is that right?
No, I didn't do a short until I did
Oh,
my crazy self did 2 more series after that one.
oh.
I did mini series. I did 6 minute episode,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So and then so it's funny. I did 2 series, 6 minute episodes, 8 episodes. Then I did a feature, and then I started doing shorts.
I see. I see.
Completely backwards. I know. Completely.
What the what the what were you thinking?
Um, I think here's the thing. Here's the gift and the curse for me. If I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. And because I use my own money to figure it out, it was just like fuck it. Let's just I don't care. Like I want to figure out this is the idea that I have in my head. This is the one that doesn't escape. I got to figure out how to do it because I can't move on to anything else until I finish.
Uh-huh.
And
Right. Right. Right.
that's how I am. It's like if I had this idea, yeah, this one over here makes sense. It might be more financially feasible, but no, this one I have to do first. If I write it, I have to shoot it. So yeah, and then the feature, I was hired to do the feature. It wasn't even my.
Ah.
So I wrote the feature for a rapper, and then we shot the feature, and then after that, I did another feature, which was my first.
So the first one that you did with for the rapper, what was your role on the
I was a writer producer.
writer producer?
Yeah.
And so why did the rapper think you could write a movie and produce it?
So I'll try to make this short. Before I was doing film full time, I was a small business banker for Bank of America in Atlanta.
Ah.
I had every studio within a 3 mile radius of mine. I would do is when these clients that work with studios came in and I built a rapport with them, I would get their phone numbers and I
Ah.
would send them my series. I would send them music videos that I was doing for other artists. I would send them commercials that I was doing, right? In hopes,
Nice.
hey. And then one day, 2 years later, this rapper's management said, "Hey, Shaun, we're doing a movie. We want to do a movie and we need your help." And I was like, "Oh shit, that worked."
It worked. It worked.
It took 2 years, but I think for them, they saw the consistency in my work.
Hmm.
Always from like the quality of my work has only got it started off really good and only got better. I,
Uh-huh.
my whole thing with me and my team when we started, I said that we're going to be independent, but we will not look independent.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think around the time a lot of the people that they went to, because I wasn't the first person they went to. I was the fourth, I think, and my quality was better.
Uh-huh. That's interesting that they went to four people. I wonder if the other people just could not follow through.
From what I was told, it was quality. It was actually making the jump from music videos into narrative because the
Uh-huh.
right
Right.
narrative, it's better. It's more character development. It's all these plot twists and all these things that we have to include. And on the writing standpoint, a lot of people just couldn't do it, and they couldn't do it fast enough.
Fantastic. So you were hired to write and produce a movie before you did your own.
Yep.
Uh, that's really fantastic. And you know, I don't know if there's a question here that I'm not quite sure how to ask, but there's a flavor in your work that's very of the street, of, very urban, very
I know.
is no, I think it's great. I mean, again, because
Joanne,
sometimes it's documentary, sometimes it's fiction,
Joanne, it is
and it's
completely, but
very close.
it is not what I wanted to do.
Oh,
When I started, I said I don't want to make urban films.
uh-huh,
I don't want to be known as a black filmmaker,
right,
known as a filmmaker.
uh-huh,
But doing the movie for the rapper,
yeah,
it was a street film.
yeah. Which
It,
one was it, by the way? What was it called?
it was called "Take Over Your Trap" by
Okay,
song by Two Chains and Bankroll Fresh. So we took that song and made it into a film.
right.
Then they asked me to write a second film.
Mm.
And I wrote that one, and we had a falling out. So that became my first feature. I shot it to give them the middle finger, right? But it was an urban film, and I said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I said, I wrote this for them. I don't want to do this
Right,
urban shit, do the
right.
street shit. And my team was like, Shaun, this is hard. Like we gotta do it. And I
And which
listened to my team.
film was this? Which film was this?
This is called The Plug.
Oh, okay. So now I understand why the music is so good. The, the music was so good in the film. And
Yeah. I have a lot of I have a I used to, before writing novels, I used to rap, and so I was really, really, really in tune with like music, and a lot of the music in my films is original music from friends of mine.
uh-huh. I wondered that because anyway, the music was so good. Like the opening credits song, and it's already good. But by then I was looking at it, I'm like, so is this a world that you come from? Is this a world that you I was
No,
like, okay, I didn't pick up that vibe from
Joanne, I am from Connecticut. Okay.
uh-huh,
so, so when I had to write "Take Over Your Trap," I didn't know anything about Atlanta street culture at all. I
right,
didn't knowledge. I
right.
didn't know. I spent 2 weeks hanging out with these guys.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I
With
spent
the rappers or with the street guys?
with the street guys.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Weeks in what's called a bando or a trap house or a dope house. Learn how to weigh it, bag it, cut it, what it was called. I learned terminology of the guns. I listened to the guys talk. I did all of that before I wrote the script.
Uh-huh. Nice.
I come from at all, but it was so fascinating to me.
Absolutely. Wasn't that dangerous and scary?
No,
No?
nah. I I have this mentality. What's going to happen is going to happen,
Uh-huh.
and I have no control over it. So I don't care. This is what I'm going to do. Whatever happens, happens.
That's great. And so the other thing that I was wondering about, like in the plug, so even when you were doing these street movies that you didn't want to do, did you feel as though there was something in terms of a message or anything like that that you were able to get in there, or was that even a motivation for you to do that?
In the plug, yes. I wanted to show in the plug our message was friendship, right?
Yes, that's yeah.
All the stories that I hear with street guys is like, your best friend betrays you. So I put these guys, Derek and Rollo, in a situation, and their friendship, is what made them successful, right? Rollo didn't turn on Derek even in the face of death, right? But most guys would have cracked. So in the plug, yeah, it was definitely about friendship.
Yeah, that's what I really, really felt. And then my last question about it are you of Jamaican heritage?
I am not.
No, because I was like, oh, because I think the opening line has Jamaican in it. It says Jamaican.
Yeah, so the character that played Mook, two of his henchmen, they are West Indian.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
I never hear that phrase anymore in America, West Indian.
Oh, I'm only regurgitating what they told me. So yeah, it was Indian, So yeah, but not me. I spent a lot of time in Connecticut, in a spot called like Trumbull, Bridgeport. They have a big Haitian community, right? And I fell in love with the women and the food.
Mm, mm, mm. Yes, yes. Well, this is my Haitian beve that I keep to uh to celebrate Haitian culture. Ever since the debate and the cats and dogs statements, I've had my veve up behind me. um, just for solidarity. But so after the plug, what did you do after that? What did you do next?
After the plug, I did my first documentary.
Aha.
Miles in a Life, the story of a BMF drug trafficker, another street themed film.
How did that happen? How did you keep going on the street theme? You're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
The documentary I absolutely wanted to do though.
Ah,
So my mechanic, so I told you I was a banker and my mechanic was one of my clients. Well,
yeah.
my car went down one time and I bought it down the street to him, right? And when I'm waiting for the car, he says, "Do you read?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He says, "Let me know what you think about this." And he gives me a book, Miles in a Life, right? The title of the book was Miles in a Life. And I see Jabari Hayes at the bottom. I said, "This is you?" I said, "You were in BMF?" And
He
he's,
was Jabari Hayes.
yep, he was, my mechanic was Jabari Hayes. Well, he
Oh my
so
God.
I said, Jabari, I said, "You were in BMF?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's the squarest guy ever in life. If you see the documentary, he's so square. And I was like, "There's no way you were with the biggest black drug cartel in US history." So I went home and I Googled his name first. And I found the indictment with him on it. Second from the cartel's like top guy. So I was like, "Oh shit." So then I read the book. And I was like, "Oh shit!" And I'm googling things as I'm reading this, and I'm finding the court records. I'm finding, okay, so he's not lying. That was for me. It was like, was he lying? So he's not lying.
Right.
So I was so enamored by his story because it was a story not of street. It was a story of redemption.
Yes.
Here was this guy that trafficked millions of dollars in cocaine, and now he's a business owner, law-abiding citizen, father. And like we rarely see that part this of this life, right? So that was a story that I wanted to tell. I wasn't glorifying that he was in the mob. No, I wanted to glorify how he got there and how he got to where I see today, right? So I went to him and I said, "Hey," because it was a Friday. I went to him on Monday and I was like, "Hey, I want to do a documentary on your life." And he was like, "No." I said, "Okay, I'll see you next week." I asked Jabari he'll tell you this. I asked him every Friday for a year.
Oh wow.
I couldn't do anything else. That's what I wanted to do. And I can't. And then he asked me, he says, "Well, why do you want to do it?"
Mm,
And what I spend to you is I see a story of redemption.
right.
I was always taught growing up that drug dealers are the worst people ever in life. And for the last 2 years, I was really good friends with one, right? So it's like we are not the sum of our past.
Mm.
So I wanted to tell that story of it. And he says, "Okay, well, how much money do you need?"
Oh,
And I said, "Oh no." I said, "No, I'm gonna do this myself." I said, I'm gonna use my own money." And I was like, "No, I don't want." I was so terrified of using someone's money and like fucking up, right? He said,
yeah.
"No, no, no, I don't want your money. I said, I want your permission to do the documentary." And he was like, "Well, what are you going to spend?" I told him what I was going to spend. He was like, he says, "Well, I'll match it and we'll do it together." And that's how it happened.
Wow. Let's take a break and watch the trailer.
Oh, damn.
I think that would be great. Now I understand so much more, about it. But Emily, go ahead.
Jabari.
Jabari Hayes.
Jabari Hayes.
Jabari Hayes.
True loyalty doesn't know the law.
I'm the one who straps the whole team, all of the mob on my back. All of the mob's money is in this car. All of the mob's work, drugs, cocaine is in this car.
One of the biggest reasons why Jabari ended up dealing with the BMF is because it was just too perfect. I always thought he was the one out of all of us that was gonna go straight.
And he just flat out asked me, he said, "Can you do 25 to life?"
He started to kind of act like all the drug dealers that we knew.
If I get pulled over, how's my body language? Is my hand shaking? How do my facial twitches look when I'm talking to the officer? I role play out loud and rehearse everything like you're an actor.
For the amount he had got, we thought it was over for everybody.
103 kilograms of cocaine in what I believe was a Maserati mobile home.
Me personally, I didn't think he'd snitch.
Now, if I was ever nervous, that was the time I was nervous.
It was obviously a criminal enterprise.
He was so confident in the world that he was in that he would never, it would never end. He felt like that time he was invincible.
Wow.
And apparently he wasn't invincible, I guess.
So that was why one of our earlier trailers. Wow, I hadn't seen that one.
I don't know how Emily does it and how she finds it.
That's not even the official one. That was I forgot we did that. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it since we did the film. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Emily. So what an amazing story. What an amazing story. And I love in the trailer that he tells the story about practicing his acting skills.
Mm-hmm.
That was really, it's just not what you expect to hear. He obviously has a very special mind.
Sorry about that. I have to. They're asking me to get on the road for Tuscaloosa. I told them I need a half an hour. So,
Tuscaloosa. Where's Tuscaloosa?
Yeah.
So yeah, that story, just that little line about practicing it's just not what I expect to hear out of a drug kingpin's mouth. I'm going to practice my lines. But what a story. And so I completely makes sense to me, when you tell the story of, your mechanic says, hey, read this book. And it's like, yeah, I would want to make that. And I guess that in a way it was perfect that you had made those films, those street films.
Yeah.
It was perfect to have all that background, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how long did it take you to make that documentary?
It took us about 6 months to do Miles. We had to coordinate all the travel because we shot in Atlanta, St. Louis, and New York. Just coordinating travel. At the time, I wasn't a full-time filmmaker yet. I still had a 9-to-5. Jabbar, whole business that he was running. So just with scheduling, it took us about 7 months, 6-7 months.
Right, that's fast by documentary standards. That's really fast.
Here.
So what came after that? What was your next film?
What did we do after Miles? I think that's when we started doing our short films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, after Miles, with the success of Miles, we were able to upgrade all of our equipment, and we started doing short films to figure out, how to work these cameras, right, and how to do that. So
how to light everything.
My director of photography, Justin, who's also my editor, he was like, he said, I'd have to figure this thing out top to bottom. So let's just shoot a bunch of shit.
Right.
So we got all our friends together and we just shot a bunch of short films. Some were 1 minute, 2 minute. My favorite one is 12 minutes.
Which one is that?
Touchscreen.
Touchscreen. Okay.
Touchscreen is by far my favorite thing of everything I've ever done.
Oh, what's it about?
Touchscreen is about a young woman whose husband is at war. Margot's husband is at war. She creates a device that allows her to touch him through the computer screen. And like most Black Mirror episodes, technology can have a catastrophic event. And that's how I got the idea for Touchscreen. I was watching Black Mirror and said, I wonder if I could write anything Black Mirror-esque.
Right.
Said, okay, it's going to be a short. Ask myself, before I write anything, because I'm self-financed, I always say, how much money do I have to lose, right? So I said, okay, Shaun, we're not spending more than $5,000. So I need to write a script for $5,000. And I wrote it, and I wrote touchscreen, and we shot touchscreen, and every time it's premiered, at a certain point in the film, there's a gasp that collectively the audience takes. I'm like, there it is.
I got
Every
him.
single time.
I got him.
And,
I got him.
yeah. And it's funny, as talented as I think I am, I cannot turn that thing into a feature. I think it was meant to be a short. And
Okay.
it's
Okay.
because I've had offers to, an interest to turn it into a feature, and I just can't. Not, at least not right now. Like I can't.
Right. Maybe one day it'll just appear in your. Once I had a coach, my favorite coach, Rachel Rogers. She said to me when I had a situation like this, and she said to me, "Well, okay, so today you don't know how to do it, but do you think that there's a possibility one day that you might know how to do it?" And I said, "Yeah, I think maybe that's true." And
Mhm.
it was solved like a week later. I had the solution.
It's-
Um, so you made a bunch of shorts. You were like, we're gonna learn how to do this, right? Um, so usually, when I meet a filmmaker, they've made shorts and then it's this big struggle to go to their feature film. Uh,
Mhm.
I wouldn't think in your case it was because you were already experienced at making features. What
Correct.
was that like to go back? What was the next feature that you made?
The next feature after the short films, mm, that was mine or something that I was hired to do.
Well, this is interesting as well. So I told you the other day, you're the first showrunner that I've had on my podcast. And I actually know the second. Well, no, my friend Janice Engel is a showrunner for Unscripted,
Okay.
right? And so I think that there must have been a certain point where you were making films, but then also started moving your career forward in the writing side. How did that happen?
Well, I never stopped writing,
Right.
right? All of my films, I wrote them
Yeah.
and writing for other people. Um, so yeah, I never stopped writing. I became a writer for hire really quickly, right after my second film.
Uh-huh.
Um, I did a bunch of phone calls to write for like reality people or those local people, stuff like that.
You
And
made the phone calls or they made the phone calls?
they made the phone calls.
They made the phone
Yeah.
calls.
I did
Okay.
I did a talk on Monday, and they said, how do I describe success in the film industry? And I said, it's for me is that I've never had to ask for work. I just have to answer the phone.
Right. Wow.
I've never had to ask anybody for work. I literally just answered the phone or I answered the email.
That has to be pretty unusual.
Yeah, according to everybody else, it is,
Yeah.
right? Which cool, I guess, right? Because it's allowed me to be able to do this full time, right? So yeah, after the shorts, I co-wrote a horror feature called The Curse of La Patasola. So that came afterwards, and that was my first theatrical release. Well, it wasn't mine. Like I said, I co-wrote it, but that was all I
Yeah.
did. I directed. I didn't whatever. But it got a limited theatrical release, and then I did
Nice.
on Stars. So that was like my first major, like, oh shit, like we have a major play. Well, no, because no,
We're
I said
working. We're working. We're
no,
getting paid.
no, no, I say second because Miles got on Apple.
Ah, okay.
So mine's on Apple. But yeah, the next feature, the Crystal of Patasola, got on Stars. That came after the short film.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And so while you were writing, there was a certain point where you started the Shaun Mathis Writers Room Collective as well. When did you start doing that?
The Shaun Mathis Writers Collection came in 2017, but that was I broke Age 17, where I was learning actually to write. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, it might get noisy, so bear with me. But so yeah, I started in 2017 after I broke away from the writers group that I was with. At first I started there in 2015, 2014 to learn how to write. And the instructor asked me to start instructing with her, right? I developed my own like style and how I approach writing. And we were doing this series, and we go through like 8-week series, and then at the end of it, the people pitched, right? And then we would start like a new series. I came to her one day and I was like, well, these people aren't ready to move on to the next phase of this. I don't feel comfortable. And she was like, fuck it, they're paying, so we're going to do it. And I walked away and I made my collective free. It wasn't about the money for me. It was about giving people the resources that I didn't have,
right,
or would have wanted. And I'm like, I'm not going to charge struggling artists, right? I can teach them how to write, and I love doing it, so it wasn't a big deal for me. And that's when I started the collective.
And what do writers do in the collective? How does it work?
So it's a class. Basically, I literally teach them how to write, start to finish. It is a very tough class. I think I have a 60% dropout rate.
Wow.
I make everyone cries. So it's tough. It's really tough for two reasons. A, I love this art form so much, and you're going to respect it if you're dealing with me. And two, I have an obligation that if I'm going to teach you, to be unwavering and make sure that you go out in this world and know how to do this right. So that way my name is in mud out here, right? So it's extremely tough class.
Nice.
But it's ongoing. And now I do like breakouts where I'll do like one-on-ones with people that are on a different level or now, right? But yeah, that's what we do. So teach them how to write, and every 12 weeks I teach them how to take a short and film it. So I teach them for loose production as well.
Right.
But
Nice.
it's one thing to know how to write it. I want them to know how to go about shooting it or what it takes to actually get something filmed.
Yeah.
But we do that every 12 weeks.
I think that writers who get to produce or direct their own work, their writing always improves. Actually, I can ask you this question because maybe you know the answer. I'm not sure that I know the answer, but I find with my clients, when they are writers and they learn how to raise money and they learn about the business and they, get into all that producing work, their writing gets better. And I see it all the time, and I'm not quite sure why. I wonder if you have a reason why.
Can you please repeat that? I didn't quite hear you. It's my fault.
So what I see is that I have somebody who's a writer, and then they start working with me and they're raising money and they're working on producing their film, whether they direct it or not. But what I see repeatedly is that their writing gets better as they better understand the business and the industry and the way the money works and the way distribution works. And I've never known quite why that is. And I just wonder if you had a thought about why it gets better when you actually have to deal with the industry and with audiences and distribution and all of that.
I think because you have more information, right? Like when my writing got better once I started to direct. Because I say, okay, this is how this flows. This is how this goes. This is what a director thinks about. So it made me a better writer. So yeah, I think with that is like you just have a whole lot more information that you can take back with you. That and it comes out in the writing because you're thinking about other things as well. So
yeah,
it's like I always say, I write to a budget and I write to shoot. Right?
Yes.
I can do that now because I have information on how it's actually done.
Yes. And I feel as though that's where it's a place where I think it improves the writing so much when writers are doing that as well. And I think that they don't realize that. They think that writing is something that you do by yourself in a room by yourself, and that's when the writing is good. Instead of, I think the writing is good when you have to grapple with but wait, I have to get up at 4 a.m. Then I have to have a crew, and they're all going to be doing these things. It all helps make the writing better and better and better, is what I see.
Agreed. I typically write in a room by myself, but my writing schedule now is a lot different than it was when I first started.
What does your writing schedule look like now?
Now it's pretty much, so I still do 6 hours a day. It's just the time of day varies based on what I have. I'm still actively like working, right? I'm working, in the industry, and I travel a great deal. So, but I still getting 6 hours a day. But before I started, I still had a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a full-time dad, single father as well.
Mm.
And so I would be up at 6 a.m., drop my daughter off by 7:20. I go to work, I do my 9 to 4. I leave work, I pick up my daughter, go home, breakfast, bath, bed, and then from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. I wrote.
Ooh.
And I was back up again at 6 a.m. I did that for almost 2 years.
Wow. You must have, that's why you look so young now, because you're sleeping more.
I still don't get to bed before 3.
Really?
Really?
You still write at night like that?
Yes. Yep.
I'm such an early morning person. I can't even.
I still write at night. Because now I have 2 children, and so it's the same thing. Well, my daughter's 17 now, so she has to do like bed, bath, and stuff. But my son is 7.
Yeah.
I do that with him.
Yeah.
And then with my daughter, we'll talk about school when she's planning for college, so we do all that. But once they're settled, if I didn't write during the day, I would write at night.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You just don't need much sleep, huh?
No, I've always been like that.
Yeah. So what are you working on now? What's on your plate now?
What's on my plate? I have 3 things on my plate right now. So we have my next feature. Somebody's calling me. I'm sorry. Let me set the first now. Okay. So I'm working on my next feature, which we started in January. It's called Tokens of Affection. It's a
What's the title?
It's called Tokens of Affection.
Tokens of Affection.
It's a female-led thriller.
Nice.
Female-led thriller, which will star Drew Sidora. And we start with Drew Sidora and Clifton Powell. So we start that in January. Next month, October, was where I start my official show running. And I will be doing a talk show called Culture and Company. And then next March, I will be doing I'll be doing another feature. It's a holiday feature of my first Christmas film.
Oh.
And that'll be called A Merry Polly Christmas.
A Merry Polly Christmas.
Yes.
No, that I can't wait to see. And the female thriller. And so with those 3 different projects, are some of them yours and then some of them, out there studio stuff?
Yeah, so the 2 features are mine. The show is I'm hired on.
Okay. Yeah. And can you tell us more about the show, or are you allowed to say more about the show?
The show is a talk show. It's a mix between The View, right, and a radio show called The Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah.
And Culture and Company is and they're talking about all things that are related to the culture, right? So the show has just like The View has different segments. We do our cultural throwback, paying homage to the people before us that correlate with the title of the show. We do our deep dive, which would be a discussion about something that affects negatively or positively the African American community. And then we do our BDE section, our Big Dialogue Energy section, which is where the male of the show talks to other men, right? Like, this message is for Black men, and it's like sometimes it's humorous, sometimes it's informative, sometimes it's like get your shit together. And so there's two other segments. So it's an hour-long show that I helped create, write, and now I'm the showrunner on it, which is a promotion from what I was doing before. Because before I was a segment producer for the same woman for her other show, and then my success on that show, she promoted me to the showrunner for the show.
And what does can you just describe for us what a segment producer does and what a showrunner does? I think most people don't know those things.
Yeah. Well, what I did is I produced the talent. Like if the segment was this, I had to find the talent for that, produce the talent for that, come up with the questions for that, and also produce the host while that was going on. A showrunner is the so well, a segment producer. I didn't do casting, schedule, writing, I didn't do any of that stuff. And showrunner, the entire success of the show was on me. I touched that show from start to finish, right? Especially when we're filming. That whole day is on me. I set the tone for that show. I'm the one putting out the fires. I'm the one creatively saying, we're going to do this. We're not going to do that. Let's talk about this. It is 100% on me.
And I love the vision for the show. That it is really nice. Really a nice vision. The culture and what's happening in the culture. And then I love the section for the men. That's really nice too, because a lot of these talk shows are very female.
Right. And so I push for us having a male and that male having his own segment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very nice, very nice. And I'm hearing more and more, but particularly I think since the murder of Charlie Kirk, this whole, gap in the conversation with men. And that men are just sort of getting, whether it's black men or not black men, just sort of getting left out of the conversation, right? I think that's a really important piece. And if more and more men are being drawn to, hate, and it's just like there's something really missing, more conversation.
I find most times, and this probably be from my own personal experience and what I've seen online, that most times most people don't want to hear what a man has to say. They just want to hold a man to do what he's supposed to do. Right? I have a lot of female friends that really don't care for a man's opinion. It's like a man's supposed to do this, and a man doesn't talk. A man doesn't debate. A man doesn't discuss. A man provides, protects, and all this stuff.
My God.
I'm like, no. I'm like, that's it. So
that's awful.
It is. I'm in this group called Brothers United. It's a male group where it's all men that hold each other accountable,
right.
And we're there to be a resource. We're there to be sort of to cry on. It's a safe space for men.
Right.
It's like we are having these conversations, so we can go back out and protect and provide and do the things that a man's supposed to do, because we have a space for us. So in terms of the talk show, again, I wanted to make sure that there was a space for men as well.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's really nice. I actually had not heard anyone say before that men are always being told to not talk. Like, what? Because I know how awful that is for women. So why do it to men?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those double standards, right?
Yeah, very interesting. And then my last question, this is a question I always like to ask, is if the perfect project came across your desk today, what would that be?
You said what kind of project?
If the perfect project came across your desk today, what would that be? And it may be on both sides. Maybe there's the one on the writing, show running side, and maybe one of your own.
The perfect project? I don't even know what that is yet.
Uh-huh.
I would say, I don't know about perfect, but anything that I can do with Robert De Niro, or Denzel Washington would be the perfect project.
Or both. What about both?
I'll probably lose my mind, but yeah. But it used to be right in that
Oh, I missed
that.
that.
Ray Liotta.
I missed that.
I used to have Ray Liotta in that thing too, right?
Yes.
But then he passed, so
Yes.
it sucks. But any project with those three guys would be, I guess, the perfect project.
I loved Ray Liotta.
Or working with Frank Darabont.
Who?
Frank Darabont.
Oh, I don't know him. I'm going to have to look him up.
Frank Darabont, Shawshank Redemption, Walking Dead.
Yeah. You know what I was just going to tell you? I happen to know, I never remember what his job title is, but I happen to know the guy in Hollywood who gets scripts for Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is his #1 client. And, and he says, he's at this place in the industry where he only sees great writing. He only sees the absolute best of the best of the best of the best, right? And he's been doing this for decades. And he told this story that I love to share. He said, he'll find a script for Denzel Washington, and Denzel Washington will say, well, I like this script, but I'm not on page 38. Why is that?
He said, what about page 38?
He said, I'm not on page 38. And I find that it's a very interesting, when I look at Denzel Washington's movies now, it's shown me in a different way about what it is to write a star vehicle for a true star, and it's different than, I notice a lot of my clients, when they're writing their first feature, they write very ensemble pieces. But a star vehicle is a very different kind of writing.
Yeah, I don't think I write ensemble pieces, right? It's sitting around one or two people and really owning like their story and everyone around them. But even like my writers in my class, they want to write all these characters, and they want to write like the next Come to America, or it's like no, that's a whole other level there. If you can't master these two people, you're never going to master that side.
Right. That's an awesome line. If you can't master these two people, I have a client who's making a film for $150,000, and I'm always telling my clients, got to make it smaller. If you're going to have that budget, you got to make it smaller, And she went to her writers and she said, I need at least 10 pages off this script. And they were like, "Whoa." And then she did some work on the script and she said, I think we can let go of these two characters and this dog. And they were still giving her pushback. And then she finally budgeted it, and she found that she would save $30,000 by taking out those two characters and the dog on $150,000 budget.
That's not surprising, right? I said earlier when I say that when I decide to shoot, I write to a budget.
Yes.
So that's not surprising. It is when we are going through our 12-week program and we're doing the feature film, it's like I show them how much a character or a scene would cost. And I always tell them that if it doesn't negatively impact the story, then get rid of it. You might want it because it's cool, but does it strengthen the story? If it doesn't strengthen the story, it doesn't hurt the story, we don't need it. And that saves us money to put elsewhere.
Yeah, that's right. That's so good. Shaun, thank you so much. Thank you. I hope you have a good trip, and thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you better and get to know your work more. And good luck with your upcoming projects.
Thank you. You as well.
Yes.
It was a pleasure, like finally meeting you in person in Miami.
Yes, that was so. I'm like, oh my God, a real person.
Right. I don't know if you told Emily, but I was sitting behind Joanne and she had spoke, and I was like, I know that voice. So right afterwards, I found her. I said, I know her voice.
But it's funny, you know, just yesterday, somebody said to me, oh, you know, back in COVID, he said, well, you know, we're still in COVID. And it's that kind of experience that reminds me, actually, yes, we are still in COVID. We haven't fully gotten back to in real life, you know, we're not really there. So, but anyway, thanks again so much for your time.
Thank you both. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thank you, Emily, as always.
Thank you, Emily.